Hi, beautiful people. Welcome to a highly requested video, probably for the last decade now. I am here with Allie Christensen, who is a dance trainer. She's a dance movement specialist. She's incredible, Aligned Fitness by Allie. And Katie Ging, who is an incredible dance photographer. She is my dance photographer. Any pictures you see of me pretty much are her. And today we are going to be talking about those lovely audition photos that you all have to do, that I had to do when I was your age. And so I want Allie's tips for how to do it correctly because they are looking at your technique. And I want Katie's tips as the photographer, what to think about to kind of help you guys out. So the three main ones I'm seeing these days are Tondu à la seconde, leg lifted à la seconde, which is kind of bizarre.
And hard.
And hard. And Arabesque. And then we also at the end are going to touch on headshots. So let's take the Tondu. How do we make a Tondu à la seconde look good for an audition photo? What do we need to think about anatomically?
I always notice this arch dropping in. So the forced turnout and then the arch dropping in changes the angle of your ankle and of your standing leg. So putting a little more weight on your pinky toe, making sure your arch is picked up, is going to give you a better standing leg. The other standing leg thing I notice is if you shift your weight too far over your toe, you're on a diagonal and the line of your leg looks shorter. So I think you want to be a little bit more in the center of your arch, not your weight in your heel, but if you get too far over the toe, it just becomes like a sitting hip instead of being really out of your hip and pulled up like we're being asked to. I think that for a photo, you're going to really try to show the underside of your foot.
Right.
Even if it's, yeah. So you're going to really focus on the rotation of your thigh. One trick I think is that if you show off the underside of your thigh, that looks better than if your foot goes too far behind you or to the side, and now your knee is kind of at that forward angle. So you're playing with the lines that you're gonna see in the front. We do wanna see more towards the inner thigh and bottom of the leg as opposed to straight to the side with the knee forward.
That makes sense because as Katie can attest, dance photography is different than dance live.
Exactly. Yes. So what you're going to do for the camera is astronomically different than what you're going to do in class. And then for me, when you're posing, I don't know how you feel about this, but I usually recommend for the photos, if you're super smiley in class, I'd smile. But if you're not, then you don't have to. Be what you would be while you're dancing because they'll be able to recognize you a little bit more.
Right. Because I was never the kid that was like,
yeah.
So doesn't quite work.
Yes, exactly.
Not know who you are.
But like a pleasant face is always good.
Yeah, I think that's for me the biggest thing with audition photos across the board. You want to look like yourself.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because you don't want them to be like,
who's that?
Yeah, in the room.
Yeah.
So then from here, let's take à la seconde in the air because this is a big one nowadays. Thank the Lord I didn't have to do it. But they want to see your strength, they want to see your rotation, they want to see your placement.
Yeah. I think the mistake I see a lot is that we praise height over alignment. And I believe that if you're auditioning for a summer program or for a company, they're going to want to see your placement, even if your leg is lower than you want it to be.
That's correct.
Can we just like put that on a t-shirt? Thank you.
So your hip placement, all the Tondu corrections of your standing leg still count. But that hip dropping down, and then I always think of pushing out instead of reaching, because the reach sometimes gives us a lifted hip.
Right.
So that pushing actually sinks your thigh bone into the socket.
Pushing, wait, okay, this is my better leg that's up. So pushing.
Yeah, so she's pushing out, it drops the hip down.
Right.
But sometimes, even from professional, when we get a little reach, then we start to lift the hip just a little more than we want, and it definitely happens for our pre-professionals a lot. So push.
And Katie, do you recommend proper second in a photo? I mean,
I would really, like I said, I always think about going through your chest, a little bit of breath, a little bit longer. That would be what I would say.
Yeah, which is not, this is not correct for class, but it looks great on a photo.
Yes, much better.
Yeah.
And like they were saying with the height of your leg, everybody thinks you want to show it off. You're going to show that off in your actual audition if you're going to an audition. They want to be able, if they have to go back and look, they want to see that you have proper technique, and then you'll show your performance aspect in the video or the actual audition itself.
Yes, because you never audition for anything with just photos.
Yeah.
Modeling, yes. Ballet, no. So you just need to show what you look like, what your technique is. They will see the rest of it live and in person. That's why ballet companies don't hire off of Instagram.
Yeah,
Another t-shirt.
not real.
Okay, I'll probably get in trouble for that one. But, okay, let's talk about Arabesque, the glorious Arabesque photo. What can we think about to help our Arabesque?
Yes, so I'll go back to the same thing. Height is not the most important thing we're looking at. And one of the things I have heard a lot of teachers comment, and I completely agree, is that when we're in the Arabesque, if you're really trying to fold and bring your leg up as high as you can so we get this crease here, and you're only bending from like this one spot in your back, that's not technically our best Arabesque. We want it to come from our hip, we want a long upper back, we want the whole spine to be making more of a capital C feeling, and yes, this part of your back bends more, but when we see those really high legs that, you think, how did their back do that? That's not technically a correct Arabesque that I don't think a company is looking for.
No, that's a I 1, 2, 3 whack moment.
And it's cool for effect. But if we're talking about audition photos, they're different than our Instagram wow photos. So you need, maybe you have both, right?
Yeah.
But if you can give me the big capital C through your spine, and you can focus on pushing, there's that push cue again, push your leg out from the glute, then we're gonna get a nice long line this way that continues through the arms, as opposed to get short because you fold your back.
Yeah. And I think this applies to what we were talking about earlier too.
Yeah, you just really want to lengthen everything out. Like your proper one would be square. This is, you want it a little longer. And can you show them what you were doing at the bar?
Yes.
Yes.
So this was my trick when I was 11. You go like this, right? You go 1, 2, get it where you want it, 2, 3, lift.
Yes.
Yes.
And when you're thinking about that too, if the bar's in the background, you have to consider that, where your height is to it, and it's got to look straight.
Yeah, you have to have a straight. The downside of this
Yes.
trick is this is your indicator for where your leg is.
Yeah.
Right? You got to match the straight line.
Yeah.
So this is not great for me. This is not a good trick for me because the line is not going to be pleasing to the camera,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So you kind of have to have that nice 90 degree if you're going to do that trick, I think.
You can also do 1, 2, 3, peek it and get it, but your photographer has to be skilled. And you have to be aware of where your arm is, and you have to be aware of how your shoulders are. Sometimes getting it in movement for audition photos is hard, but if you have a skilled photographer, it's important. And we were saying earlier too, off camera, if you're auditioning for a company, it is worth investing in professional photos. Summer course, phone, totally fine. But a company, I would definitely.
Yeah, and with the company ones we were saying, I would typically do more of a seamless backdrop, and you can be more creative. You don't have to do just the stuff you would have to do for a summer program.
Right.
Like, they want to see what you can, like a little bit of artistry too. You should have the technically correct stuff, but the more fun stuff too, they'll be like, oh, that looks beautiful in a way that I haven't seen before.
Right. So the last thing I want to touch on is a headshot, and we can move closer for this. But the other thing with headshots for dancers, don't wear crazy stage makeup. Don't
Natural is, you want to have some makeup on, but you want to feel like you.
Yeah. And what would you suggest for posing? Like, should we be here? Should we be smiling? Should we be pleasant? Do we do a whole dramatic moment? Like,
If you're a student, I definitely recommend, again, like more simpler makeup, and then you want to, I would just keep moving yourself around. You want to have options and whatever feels good for you.
Yeah.
Angle, like you can go straight to the side, you can go more like this. I would just keep moving around and wherever you feel comfortable. Also, you can be a little serious, you can do smiley, think about what you want, but it's generally what you kind of look like
yeah.
in class.
I also have found that my best headshots were not sitting.
Oh yeah, I much prefer to stand too, because I think you could, like, when you're sitting, you're kind of like this, and you're naturally more.
Feels very posed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
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 Kind of stiff.
Yeah,
for
so
sure.
you want the energy and just subtle. Again, it doesn't have to be,
Yeah.
but just subtle, look, find your light, and find your light.
Find your light, yeah.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid. If you have a better side, you can tell somebody you have a better side. I'm never offended if they're like, can I face this way instead? Great. That's where you feel comfortable. You have to feel great in the photo when you submit it. So feel free to move around and tell your photographer, I want to do this.
Yeah. Do you have a good side?
I think this is
Me
this
too.
is always how I do it.
Let me see my left side.
Without ever thinking.
Yeah.
Just every
Yep.
photo.
Yep. Anyway, so yeah, simple trip. Nope. Try that again. So simple tips for you guys for auditions. Don't overthink it. Just get the shot. It doesn't have to be some crazy whacked out thing. Proper technique, show who you are, and I'll link everybody's info in the box below. We just did a video for Allie's channel about just photos and poses for photo shoots. So if we want to get a little more creative, if we want something for Instagram, we did that on her channel. So go check it out and go check out Katie's amazing portfolio. I'll link it below. And hire her.
Thank you.
Hire her. Hire her too.
Yes.
Hire both of them. But anyway, thanks so much for watching, you guys, and we'll see you soon.